just four quick things I want to leave you with. And speaking of that law, yeah, you got to do something, and I hope you guys next year look at that lobbyist law again. We've had some good times being in the legislature, and we've learned a lot when we're able to socialize better. I mean, my freshman year, the electric co-ops used to do a canoe trip. And I tell you, when I dove in the water and saved Nancy Dieter's life, she's given me 5, 6 votes, through the years because we were able to do those things. And her canoe tipped over, and as she was drowning and flapping for water, I was like, why isn't she swimming? Because she was holding her pack of cigarettes up. I mean, times like that, and times at Conference Room H with Paul and Quentin and Paula Dockery and with Donna Clark over there. I mean, we developed friendships. People you probably never hang out with, never around. You develop friendships, and things like last night. And I mean, this is a true story. Last night we had the party at Top Flight, and so on the way home, I'm talking to my wife, and she's like, I met this great person. This guy, I mean, he's real smart. He has a couple of adopted kids. He owns a funeral home. He's looking to start a bank. He is so nice. I really like this guy. I was like, what are you talking about? I met this guy at your party last night, Dennis Baxley. He's such a great guy. I'm like, wait a minute. Let me tell you some of the legislation he sponsored through the years. I still like him. But it's events like that when we can go out and socialize, and we may lose some of that under the law we passed. So we got to find a way to keep our integrity and keep the public's trust, but find ways that we can still socialize and be, just get to know each other. Second thing to do is develop a reputation of trust and honesty. 2 events I'll always remember on that. I served on a committee, and Dudley Goodlett was the chair, and it was one of those committees we met right after session, and we had to pass something and then go back into session. We went into the committee room, and Dudley Goodlett had passed out this big strike call and said, we got 5 minutes to pass this thing, we got to go. And I started screaming and hollering, how dare you guys do this, sneak this on us. Dudley shot me this look and said, Chris, watch what you're saying. And I had to think about it. This is Dudley Goodlett. This is someone that's developed a relationship of honesty and trust. He's not trying to sneak anything by us. If he says there's a technical amendment, because of the reputation he's developed, that's good enough for me. I happily voted for it, apologized to him, and it turned out later it was just a technical amendment. But because of his reputation, he's able to do things like that. As members coming back, develop that reputation. And the second one that did, it was one of the biggest compliments that I've ever had. I did a bill this year that was a rough bill that needed a whole lot of work. And in my first committee of reference, the bill came up for vote, and Ken Swanson, just a true gentleman, said, Smith, we've beat this bill up. I don't like the bill. It needs a lot of work, but I'm going to vote to get it out of this committee because I know you. I've worked with you for 8 years now. I know you're not going to bring anything to the floor or continue through this process without cleaning it up. So even though I don't like the bill, I like you and I trust you. And he voted for my bill. That was a heck of a compliment to me. And that said to me, God, maybe I've done something right around here. So members that are returning, develop that reputation of trust and honesty, and it will go a long way. Third thing, Marco and Dan, whichever way you're sitting, use this. Use this. We stop a lot of trouble around here. We get a lot accomplished around here because we talk. There were times when some of those other pictures up there, they didn't talk to this back seat. And the back seat didn't talk to the person up front. And you got, when you surprise people, you get chaos and you get other things. So many times I've used this phone to say, Speaker, I think we can work this out. The other day when Mini-Me was in the chair, and there was a bill up, and there was an amendment between Hasner and Vanna. And everyone's like, let's just vote it down. Let's vote Vanna's amendment down. Let's just move on or whatever. I called Representative Russell, said, I think we can do a meeting of the minds and it doesn't have to be ugly. TP the bill. and against the wishes of some of his members. He said the bill's TP'd, and he moved on. Those two met, fought, came to a conclusion, kissed and made up. She withdrew her amendment. she withdrew her amendment, and they worked it out without it being an ugly public voting something down. That came about because we picked up the phone and we talked and we used that lines of communications. So Dan and Marco, this is the best thing on this floor, is that direct line from this chair to up there. Use it and things will go a lot smoother in here and everybody's voice will be heard. And lastly, remember why we're here. Remember who we're here for. Let me tell you a story about the type of people we're here for. Back in 1969, a young lady was at Dillard High School in Fort Lauderdale, and she was 14 years old, and she got pregnant. Now, back in 1969, the rules of the school system was you can't stay in the schools. So they kicked her out of high school, and she had to go to an alternative school. And society pretty much gave up on her, and she was at this alternative school. She had the child, and then she went to court. And I'm passionate about the paternity bill because this person went to court, and she went in front of the judge, and the father of her child said, "Not my child. I'm not paying child support." So this 14-year-old girl had to raise the child on her own. 14-year-old girl, worked through high school. She went to college, worked her way through college, went back home, worked her way through grad school and became a social worker and has worked in the Broward County system for years as a social worker. So here's a 14-year-old girl that sometimes, we throw away. We say, okay, she's flunking, she's, having a child and everything, and as a matter of fact, with the way society is, that bastard child will probably do the same. Well, I'm here to tell you that bastard child became the minority leader of the Florida House, and that 14-year-old girl is my mother, Helen Hinton. Just in closing, something that I asked, and since I've already taken up enough time, let me take 60 seconds more, just to talk about, we did education yesterday, and we talk about education. A hero that I want to end with. I wanted to do a poem, and Joyner did If, and then Jennings did Invictus, and so I don't have a poem, but just wanted to take a minute to tell you about Ms. Laura Giles, who began teaching. She graduated Blanche Ely High School in '62. She got her degree from Kittrell College. She began teaching in Broward County school systems in 1968 at Sanders Park Elementary School. She then moved over to Crystal Lake Middle School and has taught so many kids. In a lot of years, those kids come up here from Crystal Lake Middle School. She has done so much and taught so many doctors and lawyers and community leaders, and she's done such a great job for over 30 years in the Broward County school system. And on May 25th, she'll drive away from Crystal Lake for the last time. And she has this, and she can always use those words to comfort her from the Bible. Servant well done. That's one of our public servants that have done many years of service to our community, and she's retiring this year. And I can only hope, after 8 years of community service, I could try and live up to someone like Laura Giles, who's done so much. You've all been such great friends. You've been such great family. Mr. Speaker, I said I wasn't going to say anything about you because I've said enough and everybody else has talked enough about you, but I started this year, and I said, you talked about your bus and getting on the bus when you first got elected, and I said, can a brother get a ride? Well, after that Corvette, can a brother really get a ride? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.